Hi, I'm Joe Walensky, and I'm the principal of Walensky and Associates. One of the things that we have coming up is our Writers UA East Conference for Content Pros, which is taking place at NC State University in a cooperation with the Department of English there. That'll be October 4th and 5th, and I get the fun job of talking to a lot of the different speakers who will be at the event. And today I am speaking with Guiseppe Getto. Hello, Giuseppe. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
Everything's going pretty well. And as usual, I'm talking from the Seattle area, but where are you talking to us from?
I'm talking to you from Greenville, North Carolina.
Well, it's good to have you as part of the program, and one of the local people from that area. For those that may not be familiar with you, I thought we'd start by you talking a little bit about how you came into this field and what types of things that you're involved with now.
Absolutely. So I'm a bit of an odd duck because my day job is as a college professor. I'm an assistant professor of technical and professional communication here at East Carolina University, which is located in Greenville. And so I came to content strategy work as a researcher. It was something that I was interested in. I saw the sort of changing landscape online and how content was really driving that. And so I developed a couple research projects with some industry-based companies to really get a understanding of what the kind of front of this movement was like. And then from there, inevitably, if you kind of talk about being good at content, you'll get some people asking you to help them with it. So I've always done that throughout my academic career. I had largely small businesses and nonprofits come to ask for help, and I would often help them kind of just as I could in addition to my day job. And then about a little over 2 years ago, I decided to launch that as an actual business. So I launched Content Garden, which is a small content-focused consultancy, basically, where we work still primarily with small businesses and nonprofits, but we get a few bigger clients. But we largely help them with marketing their content online. So how to leverage social media, how to do digital marketing, how to design an effective website, that sort of thing. And then recently I've also become very involved with my local chapter of the Society for Technical Communication. So we have a Carolina chapter here that covers both North and South Carolina, and I'm currently president of that chapter. And I did that last year, and I'm running again this year, so hopefully I'll be president again next year. But that's been really great because it puts me in touch with a lot of industry-based people that deal with content, technical communicators mostly. But I get to hear kind of what their daily lives are like and struggles. So it kind of keeps me relevant for my research teaching and also for my consulting.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot of similarities in what we've been involved in, and I served as president for 3 different terms at the Puget Sound chapter of STC. I also teach at the University of Washington, so I'm always interested in hearing what's going on at other institutions. What types of classes are offered relevant to our field at East Carolina?
Yeah, so we've got a range of different classes. That's a good question. We have a master's program, a PhD program, and at the undergrad level, we largely teach service classes. So I teach a couple different classes mostly. I teach our general sort of business writing class at the undergrad level a lot, but I do that because that is our service learning class as well. So I actually will get some nonprofits together, and they'll attach to the class as our clients, and we'll actually help them improve their content, improve their websites, that kind of stuff. So the students learn kind of how to communicate, as a business person, but they learn also things like social media marketing, which is very valuable in the business world right now. And then at the graduate level, we have a wide range of courses. I don't think we're dissimilar from a lot of other programs. Some design courses, which I tend to teach. I share that with a couple other faculty. I teach a UX course on a regular basis and a content strategy course. And then also to sort of more general technical writing courses and editing, technical editing, that kind of stuff, grant writing. And then the PhD, of course, that's where you get into a lot of the more theoretical courses, like research methods and that sort of stuff. We do have a research methods class at the undergrad or at the MA level as well. But a lot of the courses, in the PhD are preparing students for academia, so they're rhetorical theory courses and that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's a lot. We're not a huge program, but we've got a lot of course offerings definitely, and we have a pretty good diversity of faculty with a lot of different interests. So.
Well, it might not be that relatively large of an institution, but you certainly have a lot going on. So that was a pretty good list of academic aspects. But why don't we switch over and talk a little bit about your consulting area? What are some of the things that you have going on at Content Garden? What are some of the areas that you're particularly focused on now?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think two of the main things we focus on the most are, sort of ongoing digital marketing efforts and web design. And when I started this business, I vehemently did not want to create websites just because I personally wasn't really great at it. I would do it when I needed to. But of course, there's a lot of small businesses and nonprofits that need that kind of help. They have an outdated website, they need a new one. So that's increasingly become the majority of our business, is building websites for people. The other side of it, though, the sort of ongoing marketing work is becoming, a strong second, because there's a lot of organizations that they'll get a website built and then they don't do anything with it. Right? It just kind of sits on the internet. It doesn't really produce leads for them because it's not being marketed. So we, help them with search engine optimization. We help them push their content out to social media. We help them with blogging and getting that content out to the right people, basically. And that's become, a kind of, secondary market for us, which was the first market we really wanted to target. But a lot of folks, they know they need a website. Like, that's something that most people who own a small business or nonprofit know that they need. But as far as marketing that website, that doesn't really occur to them. So, it kind of makes sense that we haven't gotten as much actual content strategy work as we would have liked. But we do get a fair amount, and that keeps us, kind of keeps us relevant, keeps us challenged, because there's always new challenges. Every day we have clients saying, well, how do we syndicate our content? How do we do this with our content? And we have to, be versed in all the best practices in order to deliver that service. So that's a lot of fun for sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you're going to be presenting at the conference. Again, that's coming up in October in Raleigh. And your session is entitled SEO, Content Auditing, and Content Management. So tell us a little bit about how you came around to developing that topic, and what we can expect to learn from it.
Yeah, so my life as both a researcher and a practitioner of content strategy has increasingly become about kind of helping to define content strategy for the field of technical communication, and also helping technical communicators understand why the field might very soon start moving in that direction, or already has. So I was asked to do a keynote for a small conference in the DC area. The name of the conference is escaping me. That's terrible. But anyway, the keynote was on content strategy, and my title was very provocative. It was something like, is content strategy the future of technical communication? And obviously, this is something that I think the answer may be yes. And so what I did in that presentation is I talked about some research I've done, but specifically I talked about how much overlap there is between content strategy and technical communication. And a lot of the core skill sets are the same: writing, editing, usability, dealing with stakeholders, that kind of stuff. And then there's these other skill sets, though, that most technical communicators who are working solely as technical communicators don't necessarily use, which is SEO, content auditing, content management, right? But increasingly, if people are creating technical content, where does it live? It lives in a content management system. So they have to manage that information as content. And then, half the time that content is getting published to multiple venues, some of which are online. And if the content is not SEO friendly, then it's not going to be effective online. So, I see an increasing amount of technical communicators who are coming to me, or they're going somewhere to learn about SEO because their organizations are saying, hey, we have all these web pages, all this technical content, and they never get visited. So what do we do to improve that? And then that leads to, doing the sort of auditing work that is often required. I teach classes for the Society for Technical Communication as an organization too, and I've taught a couple content strategy courses, and one participant in that course asked this question at the end of one of the sessions and said, well, I've got 1,000 pages of content in this website. It was created before I got to the organization. It largely hasn't been touched since it was created. What do I do? And this is, a problem I'm encountering from a lot of not only technical communicators working at larger organizations, but even small businesses. We recently had a client with something like over 170 pages of content that they'd created and they'd never really done anything with. And so being able to assess all that content from both an SEO standpoint and a usability standpoint and just kind of an audience standpoint, is this content targeted towards the people you want it to target, and is it reaching them, is becoming a very valuable skill set. Content strategy is, I think, not as well understood as some older disciplines like UX and technical communication. So what happens, and this is the same thing that kind of happened with UX, before there were UX specialists, they would often just find somebody in the company and be like, can you do usability for us? And that's happening with a lot of content strategy work now. I find a lot of technical communicators who, they'll see one of my articles online or something, they'll get in touch with me and say, hey, my boss just asked me to do SEO. Where do I get started? And so I think, there are an increasing amount of jobs that are focused on content strategy specifically, but again, there's always going to be organizations that want to utilize their existing workforce, and so technical communicators are in a position to really improve their standing in an organization if they can say, hey, I can do this content strategy work. I know the content, I know how to produce it, and I also know how to manage it. But they're also finding those technical communicators that make that leap that it's a whole different world out there, and it's very different from, the traditional documentation project where you just gather information and you write it up and then you work with, the subject matter experts and make it really a good document, and then you're done, right? The content strategist, their work often starts when that content is created, and that's a whole other kind of side of things. And that's really something I've been paying attention to for the past, several years. And, so that's what I thought would be a great contribution to the conference.
Well, it certainly sounds like you have a wealth of experience, both on the academic side and your consulting, with a lot of which should be a lot of interesting anecdotes and help guide people through their own projects when we get to the conference. So thanks for offering to participate in this, and we'll see you in Raleigh in October.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Giuseppe. Bye-bye.